That way, if anybody needs to reference or if you come in late and you miss something, you can always refer back. As always, our webinars are posted on gatherup.com/webinars. You can see the past webinars, and then as we roll out the new ones, you can register there as well. So some great content. If you missed our last one, 3 weeks ago, we did a webinar with Mike Blumenthal talking about the FTC, some of their new guidelines and best practices around review solicitation, review moderating, as well as publication of reviews and the expectation there. So I suggest if you haven't seen that, go back and read that one or watch that one. Excuse me. So today we have a lot to talk about on the feature front. Really, the theme here is around efficiencies and helping businesses and agencies grow. So we're going to hit on our automatic social sharing feature that just came out, released last week. We have the direct posting to Instagram for social sharing your reviews. That is fairly new, but I just wanted to call that out because we have that social sharing kind of theme today as well. We have an exciting beta in progress right now. I think we have about 18 people participating, but we're always open to more. This is around what's called our reputation scorecard. The reputation scorecard is a tool for agencies to prospect or for their lead gen efforts. And our agency expert, Chris Walker, will walk us through that one. And then the last thing I wanted to cover today was our Google Sheet integration. That is happening next week. We have it slated for 1 week from today. Really exciting integration because everything integrates with Google Sheets. So whether you have a business or you work with a business that doesn't have a CRM, maybe you house your things in the Google Sheet, your customer information, all that is there. Or if you're using another third-party software tool that integrates with Google Sheets, you can bring customers into that sheet, upload them into GatherUp automatically. So it really saves you a lot of time. And again, it's all about that theme of efficiency today. The last thing I wanted to mention before we get going too deep here is the Q&A. So if you do have questions as we go along, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section. Chris is manning that as well, keeping an eye on that as we go along. So anything that comes to mind, feel free to drop it in there as we go. All right. First things first, updates to social sharing. So if you're not familiar, social sharing is a way to show your reviews out on social media, to post them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google Posts. Build that social proof, kind of build your brand online through that kind of consistency between your reviews and what you're sharing on social media, and really just build that presence even more so. So what we've done here is created a feature called automatic social sharing. Up until now, this has been a manual process. You find a review you like, 5-star review, you want to share it out on Facebook, you had to go in manually and do that. So we've automated this process. Of course, you set the parameters for that, star rating, which source, what's the source of the review, share it on the sites that you choose. And then, of course, the custom designs of that as well, just like we previously had in social sharing. The custom designs are part of the automation as well. One thing I want to call out here on this is that this is available in the administrator, manager, or team level. So those 3 permission levels within your settings have access to this. You can toggle on and off the team setting, but not the admin or manager. They're going to always have access to this. I did want to link to the user guide as well as the blog post on this. Of course, just go to gatherup.com/blog and you'll see that there as well. So why are we doing this? One of the things that we wanted to look at is this is a very manual task, and we've heard that from numerous businesses, and we wanted to make sure that anything that we can take away out of the manual process of something, we're going to do that. So we want to make you be more efficient with this process of sharing social media messages. And then the other thing is this helps you scale. So when you can automate the sharing of these reviews, it helps your agency primarily scale this. Or if you're a multi-location or franchise business, it can do the same for you there. And then the last thing is just creating that consistent presence. So I saw a really cool analogy, and I thought it was spot on about, when you first start dating someone and, you get like 3 messages on the first day or 2, and then you don't hear from someone for a week. It's kind of a weird relationship, right? So with social, it's good to be consistent, have some content that's fresh, and trying to keep that conversation going. So just a quick couple screenshots, and then I'll actually show you what this looks like in app. But you can find this under the publish section. You'll have to go into a specific location, but under the published social sharing settings, you can see there's a create automation. And then it's a simple 6-step process that we just walk you through, very easy to do. And we'll do a live look at that here in a second. One thing that's come up is, which reviews are shared, which ones don't we share through the automation. So as far as the reviews that can be shared through this automation, anything that's the newest that meets the criteria, and then anything within the past week is included. We're not going to be doing any automated sharing of reviews from 2 years ago, for instance. It also has to have contextual content, right? So it has to have something beyond a star rating. A star rating really isn't something we want to be sharing on social media, but if there's some great context around what the business did great, what they loved about it, your staff, things like that. And then the other one on eligibility would be they're on location basis. So if, for instance, if you are monitoring reviews from the same URL for different locations, you could theoretically share the same review out on social media, once per each. Looks like we hit on some of these questions. I'm seeing some questions come through here.
Yeah, my apologies, Steve. There, I was having connectivity issues. But yeah, we have a question from Trent asking, can we filter reviews based on the length, since some are too long to fit all the words into one postable image?
That's a great question. So right now, the way you can address that, I guess, would be through the text size. So we have the options in the social sharing feature for small, medium, and large text size. Obviously, the longer post, you're going to want to do the small text size. And if it's shorter, just like 6-8 words or something like that, you can do the larger text size. But right now, length is not an option to filter, but that's great feedback. And, something as we launched this just a week ago, probably a V2 type of scenario, maybe that's something we can incorporate.
Yeah, and that is a great question, Trent. To be honest, I'm not sure if the product team considered that, so I'm going to make sure that gets added to our product board. As Steve said, it might be a V2 release where we actually take that into account. We also have a question from Kaylee here about the ability to share social media posts to LinkedIn. One thing I will add to that is, although right now it is not set up to automatically share on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn size is the exact same size as the Instagram one. So although, yes, we're not able to share on LinkedIn currently, if you download the LinkedIn file size, then that is the preferred file size on LinkedIn. So you are able to share, or sorry, the Instagram is the preferred file size on LinkedIn. So you are able to share it that way. But currently, right now, we are not connected to LinkedIn for automatic social share. And then we have a question here. Will you be adding the ability to post to Google My Biz, from Kevin? Yeah, Kevin, when you share to Google in our social share feature, that will actually share it as a Google post. So that is where it's going to go. That's already built in, and that is where it shares. And then just another question here from Sultan asking, as an agency, can we still offer trial to our client within the billing cycle? So to that, Sultan, I'll say you can absolutely offer a trial to a client if you wish. However, we do charge for that location. Now, we only do daily billing, so that if a client is only in for 7 days, and say we charged you for 15 days, we will refund you back in credit the time that you did not use. But if you do offer a trial to a client, you need to know you would be paying for that particular location. All right, Steve, that's all the questions. Take it away.
All right, that's good. I mean, we got some excitement, we got some interest in automatic social sharing. So thanks for the questions. Just a quick thing on Instagram, because this was probably 6 to 8 weeks ago we launched this, but just a note that in your application to post directly to Instagram, you have to authorize that just like you would any other social media platforms. And just keep in mind that since Instagram is owned by Facebook, the authorization happens through Facebook. The other thing here that's important to remember is that you have to have an Instagram business account to have this available. And there are user guides and blog posts on this one as well. All right, so automatic social sharing, we'll go through that a little bit in a live example, but I want to keep moving and get into our reputation scorecard beta. So this is, again, a tool that is designed for agencies to help them compare a prospect's locations, find out a little bit more about their business, and then compare them to their nearest competitors. And so Chris, being our resident agency expert, he's going to take over and talk through the reputation scorecard a little bit and give you a glimpse of how this could be used for your agency.
Oh boy, I've never heard anybody use the word expert so loosely, Steve. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I will say this has been one of our most requested features for our agency partners, and one that we worked really hard to get this across the line this quarter. Now, it is still in a beta, as Steve mentioned, and we'll definitely turn it on for any beta testers, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But essentially, what the reputation scorecard is the ability for you to pull a prospect's reputation immediately. So you're able to go in there, pull that reputation scorecard. We'll talk about what goes into that, and be able to use that in a pitch when you're talking to a client about this service, as well as if you're a business yourself, certainly looking at where you stand around competitors as well. But it is something that currently right now exists within our agency dashboard. We will be including a website widget that will come shortly. This will be a bit of code that you'll be able to implant either on your website or on a landing page, where a prospect can come by and enter their business information and pull that report. And of course, that report and all that information will be sent to you. You'll be notified, and you'll be able to follow up with that individual. I've already had a few chats with a couple of our agencies who are excited about running ad campaigns to these landing pages to generate leads. So that is hopefully coming across the line in the next couple of weeks here. And as Steve mentioned as well, it's going to compare this business to other businesses within their area and within their industry. So really good opportunity for you to look at how this prospect compares to the competition, and create a little urgency and greed there when they see that they might be lagging behind. As Steve mentioned as well, it is a beta currently. We love our beta testers. Anybody on this call will have instructions for you later on how to join this beta. Please do join it. We love it, and we want the insight. This really helps us ensure that we're delivering a product that's useful to our clients as well. Next slide. All right, so let's take a look at what you actually get in this. Now, the scorecard itself, I believe Steve's going to share it with you as well, but essentially what we're breaking down, and it goes deeper than what you're seeing with this quick snapshot, but this fits in on a slide nicely. But we look into 4 areas that are definitely relevant when it comes to businesses and their reviews. The first is volume. This is where we're using a red light, yellow light, and green light sort of representation here. Right now you're seeing yellow and green, but you really want that volume to be at a red. That's a great prospect. That's a fantastic prospect for reputation and review management, because they're lacking behind in those reviews. The rating, you want to see a yellow or green there. Unfortunately, very few businesses are going to be able to go from a underachieving business to an overachieving business, unless, of course, there's other problems that we're able to fix. But the dream client is someone with a low volume and a high rating. That means when they do get reviews, they're great reviews, and they just need a little push and some automation to help build those reviews. We also look at recency. Recency is vitally important as well for businesses, because a lot of the recent data shows that reviews over 3 months old make very little impact on a customer's buying decision. Especially we're seeing that recently, where people are looking more so at our reviews now as opposed to reviews before the pandemic started. So recency is very important. Your client should always have a consistent flow of reviews, and the most recent review should never be over 90 days old. The sentiment is a bit of a technology that you're probably familiar with our IBM Watson Insights report. But essentially what Watson is going to do is do a quick analysis of the reviews. So it's definitely not as in-depth as our Insights report in-app will give you, but it will give you a good snapshot as to the overall sentiment of these individuals. So rating just looks at the star rating itself. The sentiment is going to go into the actual data within the reviews. So this will be something that you'll be able to again, break down each section, look at, again, as you'll see here in this example, we have a couple sites there. We're looking at their rating comparatively to others. And we can see in this case, they're a little lower than their competitors. So we see a big area of improvement there where we need to get more 5-star reviews for these folks. So we'll break down that info across major sites for that individual. It compares the nearest competitors based on Google reviews. And really tells the story to help you sell the service. But mainly what you want to lean on is the understanding that your competitors are doing this already, and they're doing better than you are at this. So really breaking down to them the need for this review management service you're talking about with some actual data. So currently right now, our beta test is open. We are looking for more beta testers, so please, anybody on this call who wants that turned on, email support@gatherup.com. Love it if you put in the section line or subject line, beta tester for reputation scorecard. That makes it easy for us to switch it on for you. And then please do not be shy with your feedback. This is one of the reasons why we do beta testing. We've been testing it internally for few weeks now. We know nobody's going to be able to break it, but if it's not exactly perfect, we want to hear that from you. So we will send out a survey at the end, but please don't hesitate to send any and all feedback in to our team to let us know exactly how you're doing with this, because we are really excited to give you more abilities to sell and more abilities to engage with prospects.
Chris, before we move on, we got a question from Kevin. Do we have the ability to adjust the sentiment of specific keywords in Watson? We have industry-specific keywords that are positive. However, Watson determines it as negative.
So there's no way to set it in regards to industry-specific ones. Certainly, if there's a certain instance of that, Kevin, I'd be happy if you'd share it with me, Chris@GatherUp.com. Happy to take a look at it there. What I would suggest is that you utilize tags. You are able to sort Watson by your tags as well. Again, for those a little new here, auto tagging is the capability to put in keywords that relate to certain aspects of the business. So a jewelry store might have engagement rings for one and necklace for another. So they're able to segment the engagement ring reviews and the necklace reviews. So if you're able to set up that auto tagging, you are able to filter then your insights report by those tags, and you might be able to get a more clear picture of that. And yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at some of those examples as well and see if we can get to the bottom of them.
Excellent. All right, let's move on. One more thing here to share that's new or will be new. We have a new integration that's built into the app. So as you may know, if you've been on some of these webinars in the past, you can set up a very simple integration in app, through Salesforce, QuickBooks, HubSpot, MailChimp, and Constant Contact. But starting next week, next Thursday, I think is the unofficial launch date, but that's our plan, is Google Sheets. So very excited about that as well. Now the Google Sheets integration. Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, I was just going to add that I know quite a few of the agencies on here that I see joining us today have set up these sort of integrations via Zapier. So if you are looking at these integrations, you'll see it's very similar to Zapier, and you may want to make a switch to our internal integration instead.
Good call. So in that regards, Google Sheets integration can actually be a little bit like Zapier, right? Like it's, excuse me, the middleman between maybe some other software that you're using and GatherUp. It can also be used directly if your organization is using Google Sheets kind of as a CRM internally. So very simple. You can see here that you just need the first name, last name, email. But as with any other adding of customers to GatherUp, there's opportunities for job IDs, custom IDs, and tags, and the tags Chris alluded to. So once a customer is added to this Google Sheet, our system will pull that information over to GatherUp. And then if you have your settings set up for automatically to send out requests, as soon as that customer is added, they will get the request. So very simple, very easy to do. And we'll walk through that as well here shortly. Before we move on to some live examples, I wanted to just call out the blog, the user guide, and the changelog with so much going on here in terms of new features. We want to make sure that you all are armed with the right tools. So the blog is a great resource to kind of talk about the value to the benefits of this feature. And the user guides obviously are our how-tos. So if you need help setting anything up, if you need help or assistance finding something within the application, user guide's a great example of that. And then our changelog is kind of the ongoing what's new with GatherUp, and that can be found at changelog.gatherup.com.
Also in the background, you'll notice Steve has used just a screenshot of our blog for anybody who missed our past webinar where we talked about those FTC changes. Please do go read that blog article that Steve has put in there. He outlines everything, the why, the what, and the how. So very important for everybody to understand that as well. GatherUp.com/webinars. You're able to go there and watch the webinar we did last month. So again, I just want to make sure anybody who missed our past webinars, maybe you were off on spring break, please get up to date with these FTC guidelines because they are a major change, not too major, but there's certainly some changes you need to be aware of.
All right, so I'm going to hop over here to the application. Just make sure everybody can still see my screen okay. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, so this first thing we're going to go through is the automatic social sharing. So I want to go back to my business dashboard. I'm going to go to my GatherUp account. So again, you have to be in a location specifically. And then you go down to publish and social sharing, and this will pull up your settings here. Now you can see this is where you need to authorize any of your accounts that you want to share reviews to. So you can do that here, or you can always do it up here under your main settings under authorization settings. So when I go in, I create an automation. It's going to give me my 6 steps, basically walks me through this. Naming your automation would be, something easy to remember. So for me, I'm going to share my 5-star reviews on Facebook. I select the channel, so that's Facebook, obviously. And I should say that these are grayed out because they're not authorized, right? So I don't have the authorization to post there, so I don't even have that option. But if you have these authorized, they would show up in black. Step 3 is your theme. So this is going to be where you, can set the background image. You can change things here however you want. If you're a restaurant, maybe you want to have your food image in the background, but you can set this theme for this specific automation. Oh, actually going back to, somebody had the question on the text size and the length. So that's in here as well, right? So larger, it's going to make that text larger. Smaller, you're going to get a little bit more words in that sharing image. Now the review source, this is step 4. This is which reviews you're going to share. So I'm going to say first party and Google, just as an example, but like, for instance, I may not want to share my Facebook reviews on Facebook, right? Like that might seem a little bit redundant. So I'm going to choose first party and Google. Rating threshold, you're all used to thresholds in GatherUp. So I'm going to choose 5-star reviews. And then the last one is the volume. And this is really the frequency, or how many reviews you're going to share. So I can choose 2 per week or 2 per day, or whatever number you want to do, up to 5. So once I do that, I save my automation. You can see it's shown here. Now, again, at this moment, we only allow 1 per location. That has come up in the past as well with customer conversations about having more than 1. So that could be, again, a V2 option, but right now it's just 1. If you do need to edit this, the manage button on the right, edit, or if you don't want it anymore, you can certainly set it up to delete.
And although this isn't an official beta, this has been launched, so it is active in everybody's account. It is still a new feature that we still want your input on. Just so you're all aware, your suggestions do not just go into a black hole and never be seen from again. We add each and every one of these suggestions into our Salesforce, and then our Salesforce creates a product board for our product and engineers team to look at when we're looking at version 2 of certain features, as well as fixing any bugs. So please don't be shy with your feedback. We will make sure they get added to that product board so they're considered for future developments as well.
Sam, your question on 1 channel for a location. It's 1 automation per location. So I could, in the social channels, I could pick more than 1. So I could post this to Facebook and to Google if I had Google authorized. I just don't have it authorized right now. But yeah, so 1 automation, but you can have multiple social channels that it goes to. I'm going to move over quickly to the integrations piece, just to kind of highlight that Google Sheets integration again. So this is where you'll connect it. There's a few steps in the user guide. I'm not going to go through every step, but just calling that out that it's here. And then here is the example of the sheet that is created. One thing I do want to make a point of, though, when you get your authorization in Google for this Google Sheet, make sure that you check the boxes that it's asking for permissions. Otherwise, it won't create the sheet for you. You have to make sure you check those boxes. That's called out in the user guide as well. So make sure you read the user guide. This is the sheet that it creates. The biggest thing here, and we have a note, but you can't change the headings on these columns. Okay, so if, for instance, if I had just name here instead of first name, it wouldn't pull that information to GatherUp properly. So leave the column headers as they are. But if you add other customers in here, our system will pull them out of this Google Sheet and be added to your GatherUp account. All right, I got to switch over. So the last thing, I know we're at time, so if some of you need to drop, that's fine. I'm just going to show a quick example of that reputation scorecard and where that is right now in, as Chris said, beta. But if you have an agency account, it will be up here in the left-hand corner under reputation scorecard. You can create a report here. This is pretty easy. We just use Google's API to pull in a business name. Let's see. I got a local coffee shop here that I like, so I could pull that up. And then it's just going to generate the report. So very easy to do. If you do have a business that you want to run this for that has multiple locations, or you might have to put city name in just to make sure you're getting the right location, but you all know how to run Google Maps, so I'm not going to go through that. And then, let's see here, pull up a report and show you what a full one looks like here. Maybe. Can you see my report right now or not?
You killed your screen share, Steve.
Oh, whoops, my bad. All right, here we go. We're back. Now you can see it?
Yep.
All right. So again, you get the overall score. As Chris talked about this, that's just a sum aggregate of all these 4 different categories. What's nice is there's usually a snippet here of information that you can use. So when it comes to volume, we have the stat of, once you have 200 reviews or more, those businesses generally earn twice as much revenue than average. So we have one of those in each category here. So we got the rating. You can see how each one performs. Recency, see how recent your last review was, and then sentiment. So really handy, really useful tool that we think our agencies not only have asked about, but can see a lot of benefit from this. Again, this is in beta, so we do have the leave feedback button here on the screen. So when you go, if you opt in for this beta, you will see this in your account, but make sure you leave feedback and let us know what you think or what we can do there to help you out. So other than that, I think that covers everything. Does anybody have any final questions before we sign off today?
So just as a sales piece, while we wait to see if we have any final questions, it's always been my recommendation to agencies that you walk your client through the reputation scorecard. Don't just email it to them. I mean, you certainly can, but with very little context, they're not necessarily going to know what they're looking at. So do take time, get them on a call, talk to them about that so that they understand exactly what they're looking at, and you have the best potential for closing that particular deal. I think we're it for questions, Steve. I don't have any additional questions on my screen here, so I think we're ready to let everybody get back to their day.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you coming out and joining our webinar. We'll get this posted to the website and follow up with an email with some additional information that pertaining to today's webinar. So thanks again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later.